Hi, friends. So, I am about to embark on a project that is a little bit crazy, and I thought, why not double down on the madness and go ahead and film it for you? So, that's what I'm going to do today. What I've decided to do is to alter my study abroad albums from 12 by 12 pocket pages to 6 by 12. So today I'm going to talk quite a bit about why I've decided to do that and how that's going to work and what you will see from me coming forward. So as an introduction, I studied abroad in 2004 to 2005. So almost 20 years ago, 2004, 2005, in Cairo, Egypt. I was already a scrapbooker long before that, and I had every intention of making these huge, amazing, once-in-a-lifetime kind of albums. When I got home, I was super overwhelmed. So there's a couple reasons for that. One, we just did so many amazing things and took so many photos. I got my first digital camera for this trip, but I didn't trust it. And so I also had a lot of film. And so that had a couple effects, which was one, when you're taking film, you take a lot more photos of each individual thing. And then you have to finish off the roll and have it develop. And then two was I was still printing. I didn't print all of my digital photos, but I printed most of my digital photos in the same kind of mentality of just being used to getting that full roll of film back. And so I had a lot of photos. And so that slowed me down. And so we'll talk about how I organized that in a second. But the other big life event that was happening at the time was I was only actually back in the States for 1 year before I moved to Europe for grad school. And so for probably a good decade, I was never in the same country as my study abroad materials. And so it just kind of sat. So then we fast forward to 2013, and that was around the time I started my blog. If you're a longtime Scrappy friend, you might remember that one of the first things I did on my blog was a series of converting my photos and memorabilia from the way I had originally stored it into 12 by 12 pocket pages. I actually bought my first Project Life kit, which was back when you got the cards and the album and the page protectors and everything all just came together in a box. I got the first one with the idea of doing my study abroad album. So when I got all my photos organized, when I came back home after my study abroad year, I did myself a huge favor and I organized them in 12 by 12 page protectors I believe they're by Pioneer. And they looked a lot like these ones, which are the Design E. And they were made to fit so you could put a horizontal 4x6 or a vertical 4x6. So I had kind of 4 photos. I arranged them all in chronological order, and some of the memorabilia I kind of popped into the pockets as well, and I put, some titles in there and just a little bit of information. So that was a huge help. So then in 2013, I took them out of those pockets and I put them into 12 by 12 pocket page protectors. And I have 3 giant binders that it took to hold all of those photos. And so I will put the link below to some of the original blog posts if you want to check those out. And then again, it just kind of sat there and I wasn't really working on it. If I'm honest, it's quite overwhelming to pull out one of these giant, super heavy, super packed albums and try and find something to work on. Some of that is because I have changed kind of my style and approach to pages now. And some of that is because of the way they were laid out. They didn't necessarily lend themselves well to a theme. Again, this was kind of pre-selfie, pre-people commonly taking photos of things on their phones. We actually didn't have phone cameras at all. Even though I took a lot of photos, I'd often have one photo of a thing, and then a couple days later, I'd have another photo of a thing. The short answer is I've decided to change these up again. And I'm going to move them into 6 by 12 albums because that size is something I've really enjoyed working with lately. And I feel like with the quantity of photos I have per event, it lends itself more easily to inspiration by supplies or theme. And so I started a little test of this with the week that my mom visited. You can see we have a little, spoiler alert here. You'll probably have already seen this page on my Instagram by the time that I post this video, but I decided to pull out the week that my mom came to visit and see how I felt about moving those into 6x12 pages. And so if I give you a little flip through, I can kind of demonstrate this is how they came together, and I am much more inspired and excited now to jump into finishing some of these pages. And so we have my original index card I had stuck in there as a title just to separate things out with some dates. I have some post-its with some stories. I have a movie ticket. We went to dinner. So this is kind of just more of a general life page. This is a museum visit. The next page, we went to a sound and light show at the pyramids. So that's a little bit of a theme. And this was one 12x12 side originally, and then had something else next to it. And it just didn't speak to me as much as having it kind of contained into its own little spread here. The next page is a sightseeing day. This page here is about some shopping we did, so I can pull in some, shopping supplied elements or products if I want. This is a performance we went to. Obviously, this is the day we went to the pyramids, and I've been using the Ellie Edwards 2022 travel release to work on that a little bit, so that's fun. And this day is when we went to Alexandria. And this, I think, is a really good example. I just have my tickets stuck in there because they need to be punched for the album that I'm going to use. This is a really good example of why I'm excited to work in the 6x12 format. And it's because I have a lot of other pages of Alexandria. I went several times. It's only a couple hours away from Cairo. And most of those are more nautical or beach or antiquities themed. This day in particular, my mom and I went to the Library of Alexandria. And so even though this is a travel Egypt, sightseeing, beach, coastal kind of day, I would like to maybe use like a reading or a book related collection on this page to highlight the Library of Alexandria. And that's not something that I would have to pull into a full 12x12 or the full 12x24 spread, because those things might not necessarily match as well for a book or reading related, but I can easily make the spread here. So that is the tester I did with the week my mom came. It is, several spreads, of course. I'm going from a 12x12 to a 6x12. And I'm also in this process going to be maybe cutting down some photos. I think this one was 4x6. I had originally printed everything in 4x6. So cutting some things down, combining some things, finding some homes for stories, as I'll show you in a minute. I did leave spaces as I went along with the idea that I will have more stories. Things will come to mind that I want to add there. So that's definitely something I'm going to be conscious of as I'm putting together these albums. So if I have something that only fits one side and then the next is a 6x12 page, I can leave the other side for now, just until I decide what stories I want to tell there. So this is kind of the tester I did, and I super loved it. I'm super excited to make some of these pages. And so now I've decided what my plan is. I am going to go month by month, starting today when you see this, and each month I'm going to pull out that month's coordinating pages, so August and August, September and September, so on and so forth. I'm going to pull those pages and rework them into 6x12s. And then also within that month, I want to finish 2 spreads, because the whole point of this is not just moving them into different albums. It's actually to get pages finished and memories recorded. It's been almost 20 years now. I'm in a really good shape organization-wise, but I need to just start making these pages. I am going to show you 2 more things before I start my August pages. And one of those is what some of you might be thinking. And it's, Meg, didn't you start a memory planner for just this reason, that you were too overwhelmed to work on your 12x12 albums? And you would be correct, I did. And I am going to pull that out now. I'll show you quick, and we will discuss why I'm going to continue to work on both projects at the same time. So this is the 8.5 by 11 memory planner that I've been making for my study abroad year. And this is actually the second half of the week that my mom came to visit. And you can see the same event here. So I have the pyramids here, and I have a pyramids page up there. And so this might feel a little redundant to be making both of these projects. And that's totally fine if that's what you're thinking. It is a little bit redundant. Either one of these would perfectly well record the memories, but I'm choosing to work on both of them because I feel creatively when I'm making them, they feel like very different processes in my head. I've really enjoyed working on this memory planner because I think it just has a different creative vibe to it. And I use a lot of different products in my memory planner than I do necessarily when I'm scrapbooking. I really like how many of my stamps I use in my memory planner, how I can use lots of kind of little scraps of things and leftovers, and just really like finding ways to keep it as flat as possible, making it work, that kind of thing. And so I enjoy the process of making my memory planner, and I don't want to abandon it. It's also a little bit of resource because when I am sitting down to make these pages, I am going through my journal from that year, I'm going through my planner from that year, and I'm going through the photo stream to kind of confirm dates and order and things like that and filling them in. And then that's serving as a resource for my scrapbook. So now if I want to know, what day I went scuba diving, I can tell you that it was October 21st and it was a Thursday. And so I will have probably several pages in my album of this weekend, but it's all here at a glance with dates and everything, some little stories, just playing around with different products. So that is a really fun opportunity to have. And the week of Thanksgiving here, you can see it's all quite condensed. So Thanksgiving will probably have a couple pages because we did a couple different events. There's some life stuff. And this is also a really good home for a project I started while I was studying abroad. And that is that my initial idea was that I was going to have a picture of myself taken every single day I was gone doing something. Some days it would be a big touristy trip. Some days it would just be like this day, I basically just sat in my dorm room and watched Friends. So it's a picture of me in my dorm room with my laptop watching Friends. And I super love that now. I don't even think I printed it originally because I was like, oh, whatever. It's just a picture of me watching Friends, whatever. But I love it now just looking because like I'm so young. It's almost 20 years ago. Oh my God, that laptop, watching Friends, just seeing my dorm in the background. Like those are the kind of pictures I really like to print and include in here because it has a lot of those memories associated. And so I will definitely keep plugging away at my memory planner. It's something I super love. And so you will see more pages of that coming up as well. But as far as working on my album, like I said, what I want to do is go month by month, remove that month's pages, put them into 6x12s. I might cull out some photos. I have a lot of duplicates from film. I have a lot of duplicates from just the whole attitude of being new to digital photography and not yet thinking that I had to narrow down quite as much. And also I might cut some down more from 4x6 to 3x4 or other sizes and just like really play around with it and then make 2 spreads a month from that theme. I won't be holding myself to the 2 pages in August, just because I am doing this kind of introduction, setting up, figuring out things kind of plan. But starting in September, I hope to do those 2 pages. I'm going to put my planner away. I'm going to move my 6x12 to the side for a while, and I'm going to pull out the first beast of a 12x12 album. So this is my first monster of a 12x12 study abroad album. I have 3 identical albums. They are Pioneer Leatherette. They're extra large, so they have 2.5-inch rings. And I'll see if I can flip it up. So they are just massive. And because of the way I've arranged the pocket pages, there's a ton of pages in here. It weighs a ton. It's starting to seem like it's not super healthy for the book itself. And so that's one of the things I want to address throughout. So if I flip it open, I'm trying to prop this up just a little bit so there's less glare, but bear with me. You can see I have a 6x12 cover page already in here, and I might just keep that from now. It's in the turquoise, it's using digital turquoise Project Life paper to make my cover. And it's got an Allie Edwards digital brush. This is, again, something from 2013. I might keep it for now because it's 6x12. It has all the information I need, that kind of thing. I do have 3 of them. I have 1 in each album, and with the idea of putting like volume 1, volume 2, volume 3, or whatever down here. So if we flip that over, I have a tab in here, and I have the whole set of these. Again, they came in the turquoise core kit Project Life collection when I bought it. And I do want to use them. I have them in for now, but December was punched on the wrong side. And apparently for 10 years, I just decided that sticking it in the 6x12 pocket was like good enough, even though it's super easy to punch holes. And so I will go ahead when I get to December probably and punch the holes in that so that I can put it in my album. Then we have a cover page. This was going to be a design F that had some like highlights from the album, some different things. So I have a few different photos printed here that are redundant from things in the album, but that might be a good resource for some 3x4s. I have a card that was making the rounds in 2013. Lots and lots and lots of people had this on the cover of their albums, and I thought it would be perfect. And so it says the things I did, the places I went, my interests, my routines, my experiences, my friends, my life for a year. And then I think it used, like originally it said 1 day at a time or 1 week at a time. And I changed it to 1 adventure at a time for this album. So I do actually really like that. And I'll probably also incorporate that into whatever cover style I choose. So then going into what is actually my August pages that I want to move over now. And I think, let's see. Yeah, so I left on the 26th of August. So there's only about a week of pages. And I can't really see me culling out many of these photos because there's just so many stories for that first week and getting there and leaving and arriving and travel and dorm assignments and new friends and that kind of thing. So the first page I have is I took family photos before I left with my whole family, including my grandparents, my grandpa. They came with my mom and I down to the airport. And so that will likely be a spread on its own. And then we go into some travel stuff and some getting there and just some of the chaos of traveling that far with so many people. And then we have some kind of getting used to the neighborhood, first week events. And then you can see here, this is how the page, like the photos kind of fell when I was arranging them. And I do have a few more stories I want to add, but then it goes into like a bigger event on the next page. And so this is something I can definitely, I don't even have to weed out, they're already blank pages, but I can condense that down. And then we have the first time I went to the pyramids. So, of course, there is a million photos from that. And in this case, I have several photos of, like, my other friends that I went with in front of the pyramids on camels. But I also, like, I have pictures of me on camels. So I might cull out some of those. I might cull out some kind of, they're not duplicate or redundant. They're actually different photos, like different angles entirely that you see different things from. But I might reduce the amount of pyramid pictures I have because I went a lot of times over the year I was there. And so it will definitely come back around. And so then that is the last event for August. You can see I have September here. And this I want to show you just briefly. We'll come back to it in September. But this is one of the reasons that I think I will be able to weed some things out. So this was like a film camera I used. And so I took a ton of sunrise pictures. We climbed Mount Sinai in the dark before sunrise. And like, I don't need 5-minute increments of photos. I can take like the first one, the middle one, and the last one and tell that story perfectly well. And again, lots of landscapes and different things through here. And I want to keep more of the people pictures and weed out a little bit of the landscapes. And what I plan to do is I will put these photos back into this album, but condense them down a little. So hopefully whatever pictures I have left from August might even fit in one, if there's any at all, fit in one page protector with some labels. So for a little while I'm putting together, I can keep that chronology. And then we will see how many I have left at the end, how many extra redundant photos. And then I can I will probably put them in some kind of envelope or decide to get rid of them entirely. Just the idea of that makes me really uncomfortable. So probably won't be getting rid of them entirely, but I'll move them into some kind of envelope so they're not taking up space and I can use these albums for something else. So now I am going to pull out my August pages. Oh, I was going to tell you some supplies too. So like I showed you before, I've kind of test driven this with some pages from January. I don't have albums yet. I don't know how many this is going to take. I suspect because I have a couple big trips from this year that I also want to incorporate, I suspect it will take probably 5 or 6 albums. And so for now, I have kind of these staging albums, which were American Crafts chipboard 12 by 12 albums that a couple years ago I kind of cut off to the 6 by 12 size. And I use these for staging while I'm putting things together. And so I'm going to use these for now. Just see how many pages it actually takes. You can see I have loads of stories just stuck to the front for the minute that I can fill in to kind of anywhere in my album. So I'm going to be using those albums until I decide how many I need, and then I'll order. And then I also have near my workspace just like a stack of page protectors that I've been meaning to kind of organize and put away and just pulled out from other things, pulled out for other projects or took them out of other projects. And I'm going to go ahead and use these first. And I'm hoping that eventually I will have worked out a system where I'll have enough empty within the albums itself of these original page protectors that I can keep using those and cut them down to 6 by 12. And I don't know if you can see properly, but right here you can almost see like it's starting to bend quite a bit because these albums are just so heavy that they don't set properly. So I'm happy to cut them down to 6 by 12. I like the idea of using what I already have. I don't want to break into fresh new page protectors any more than I have to. And so I'm going to get started with some of the randoms I have next to my desk and then use these as they empty up. So I'm going to pull out my August pages now. I will rearrange and reorganize, and I will come back and show you what it looks like in 6 by 12 format. Okay, so I have pulled out all of my August pages and rearranged them into 6 by 12. I do like to leave my 12 by 12 page protectors intact until I decide on order. So now I'm going to go through, I'm going to trim these down. I keep the scraps for like inserts and other projects and things. So I will keep those, but I'm going to cut them down and put them into the album. And then I will come back with a little bit of a flip through and a discussion of how the process went. I do want to say now, though, that I was really pleased between the pages I was pulling out of the original 12 by 12 album and the like little pile of random pages that I just had sitting on my desk or my work area here. I was able to pull everything from there. So I haven't pulled any new pages at all yet. They're all from those two places, and I will cut these down and put them in and be back in a minute. So I am back with my 6 by 12 pages for August. As you can see here, I kept the 6 by 12 cover for now. I did go ahead and finally punch the December tab and put it in place, so that's no longer on the back. I kept the paper on the back that I had there. I may or may not switch it out. And now I also have this little bit of a section for the cover. So I think what I'll do is I'll pull that card that I'd read from the original. I'll pull it out and put it in here for now as well. So flipping open, we have my first page, which is as it was at the time, the photos with my family from the day I left. And then going in, we have a little bit of travel. I did consider cutting this top one down to a 3 by 4. It's the signs as you're approaching Chicago and the airport. And I decided to leave it because you can see like a little bit my grandpa drove. He's no longer with us. You can see a little bit of his arm there. And it's just kind of part of that story. So I decided to leave that one full size. I moved over cards if I thought it was something that I would still potentially want to use. And I moved over most of the Post-it notes. This is a scan of my original visa in my passport, and I just scanned it in, cropped it to 3 by 4, and printed it as a photo. This is some pictures of me and the people I was traveling with that later actually became good friends. She actually became my roommate in Cairo, and we are still friends and see each other frequently to this day. And so those are us on the plane and my plane ticket. I had originally thought that I was going to crop these down and use them in 3x4s just to save some space. But looking at it, like, I'm pretty sure I know who this guy is in the background. And it just kind of goes to tell a story I might want to include, which is there were so many of us on this plane. It was a recommended flight going from Chicago that would get us there a certain day. And like, I'm pretty sure I know who that is because he became a good friend later. And just, so I think I'm going to leave it and just leave myself a little bit more room to tell some of those stories. So going on, we flew through Zurich. And so I have some pictures from that. This was actually my first international trip. I got my passport in order to go study abroad for the year. And so, obviously landing in Zurich and being in Europe was a big part of it, even though we were only there for like 45 minutes. And then landing in Cairo and just the chaos that ensued from having that many people arrive at the same time. And then we move into a couple of pages that I've left to just tell some of these early day stories. So you're going to see a lot more post-its than you are actual photos here, but that's just the nature of the beast. So some of these like first few days and my international student ID card I stuck in there. Just, getting to know people, making new friends, that kind of thing. And then here I have my first visit to Giza to see the pyramids. And I went with a big group. I remember at the time being really upset that it was August 30th. We'd been there like 3 or 4 days and I hadn't seen the pyramids yet. And so I jumped in on this trip that someone was planning out, and we didn't go in the pyramids. We just went like around the area on camels. So went super touristy for that one. And this one I had originally a 12x12 pocket, a 12x12 pocket page, and then a 6x12 with photos on both sides. And so to condense it down a little, I did pull some photos, and we'll talk about that in a minute. And then I also made this one a flip out. I have this side here with some pockets that I can tell, the story of going for the first time and camels and who went, that kind of thing. And then I have the remainder of my photos here. So then when we flip over, again, ignore all the post-it notes. They're just there for now. I'm ready to go into September. I have December here because I finally punched it. And we can continue on the back of this page. So that is how August looks. I did not necessarily condense it in any significant way, but I am much more excited now because there's a little bit of a theme. So, there's obviously, you can go travel and adventure and whatever. You can go days of the week, but now I have, like, my family is on one page and some like super intense travel stuff is on these pages. And then we get to just life. We're at a restaurant. We're just wandering around our new neighborhood. That's the first time I went to the museum. Some school stuff here, just hanging out and making new friends. And then the pyramids. So again, intensely travel. And that is kind of the mix that this whole album is going to take. It was a lot of just everyday life stuff. There was a lot of day adventures. There was a lot of longer adventures. And I am excited to see the whole mix of it coming together here. So this is where I am starting. This is my August pages filled in here. I want to show you kind of how some of this came together. So first of all, there was only one photo I ended up cutting down to a 3x4, and it's this one here. So I have some photo scraps that can be thrown away. I have 1, 2, 3, 4. I have 5 page protector bits from the edges that I cut off. So I keep those just to use whenever I need some plastic for different projects, or sometimes I make inserts out of them with my fuse, that kind of thing. So I will put those with my others. And then the only page I have that's going to go back in the 12x12 album for now is this one here, and it has the 5 photos that I decided to pull from my pyramids visit. I did put a little post-it on there that just says first pyramids visit and the date. And so I will put this back in the album for now. Hopefully when I go into September, I can fit any discarded pictures also on the back here and just keep reducing. And then once I have the whole album kind of set up into 6x12 format, I can go through and look at these again and see if there's any places I want to fill, like covers. I could always pull, pyramids are the perfect thing to put on here on the cover page. And there might be some things that I want to blow up and enlarge into a 6x12. I already have some 12x12 enlargements in my album that I'll be, working with. And so I'm going to keep these in order in labels for now. And then eventually I might pull them and put them in an envelope, but I'm just interested to see how many I actually have in the end. So that is something that will go back into the original album. I also pulled out quite a few different bits and pieces of cards here, and I will put those back into my stash into the appropriate places. I did keep anything that was like a pre-printed title card, and this one says First Giza Visit. I have to be honest, I am unlikely to keep that one there, though I might keep some of them. Or I could, cut it to a 3x4 and move it to one of those and not use it as my main title. I don't know. But for now, because it actually is kind of just the note of what this is, I stuck it in there. So just to give you a few little stats on this, when I started, I had the 2 different cover pages. I had the front of the 12x12 pocket pages, which was these pictures of my family. Then I had 3 additional 12x24 spreads and 1 6x12 insert. So breaking that down, I now have 1 cover page plus the front here. I have 5 spreads, and then I have the 1 spread that flips open. I have the 1 photo I cut down, and I have the 5 photos I pulled out to put into storage. So I would say overall in August, I came out pretty much even as far as saving space in depth, but I'm much, much happier with the arrangement of my photos and how the story is flowing and what kind of products I might want to tell to do these. And I know that I said I wasn't planning to do my 2 pages for August, but we might surprise ourselves and I might actually sit down and do a page or 2 now because I'm really excited to see how this is coming together. And so I will clear this away for now. I have my January pages I'd showed you before just stuck in the back, and I will probably keep them in there the first couple months until I fill this first album and have to move into another one. And like I said, I'm just going to keep using these kind of whatever albums I have sitting around at the moment. I have a couple empty 12x12s. I have this 6x12 and I have another 6x12. So I will probably keep assembling in here until it's full. I might move then these pages into the full 12x12. Or I might move the pages from another one of these chipboard albums into a nicer 12x12 I have and then cut down another one. I don't know. I'm just gonna play it by ear for the first couple of months. See how many albums it actually is looking like it's going to take. So I essentially have 2 weeks in here now. I'd say it's maybe a quarter full, but I really do ebb and flow. So my first semester was a lot of just running around, going out, going on adventures, exploring, that kind of thing with my new friends. And then second semester, a lot of people left. We had already been a lot of places. And so it turned much more chill. Like when we did go places, we didn't take as many photos of it because we had already been there so many times. And a lot of days we just hung out in, different people's apartments and watched TV or ordered dinner, that kind of thing. But then second semester, I have a lot more big international trips where I went away for a week to Jordan or Turkey or Palestine. So those will be, bigger chunks through there. So again, just playing this by ear, seeing how it's going. I'm really, really happy with what I have so far. This makes me much more excited to work on this 20-year-old project. And I already just love like flipping through the pages and checking it all out. So I'm excited to see where this goes, and I hope that you are too. I hope you'll be with me on this journey. This is August. I'll be back in September, and my idea is to do one of these videos at the beginning of every month where I show you the original 12 by 12 page protectors for that month and how that kind of looks, those stats, and then go through, reorganize them, show you again as a 6 by 12 how they came together in this album, and also show you any pages I finished the previous month. So probably starting in October, I will show you the 2 pages that I finished for September. And hopefully a year from now, this looks completely different. You might be wondering why I'm not making a move to transfer all of these over right away and then deal with making pages later. And it's because, again, this is the 3rd iteration of this album. It's been almost 20 years, and I really want to get excited about finishing pages and seeing this come together and getting some more of these memories recorded. And so I think doing it month by month will make a manageable amount of transfer. It'll give me a manageable amount of pages and memories to choose from. And I can also use kind of new products released that month. So in September, I could pick a just general life page and use a September collection that I have. Or I could pick an intensely travel page if I'm in the mood for that. Or for months that have big holidays, like in October, we have Halloween, we have Ramadan, we have Eid, we have some Egyptian holidays that fall in October, and then just moving through the year. So there's so many different options that I'm excited to be able to choose whatever I'm in the mood for at the time or whatever is inspired by new products. And I have talked way too long already, so I'm going to sign off now and just be excited about this project. So if this inspires you to pick up an older project you've been avoiding, I would love to hear about it. I would love to hear about any study abroad or travel adventures that you have that you are looking to document. And any questions, comments, concerns, please leave them in the comments below. I will see you back here next month and on Instagram at Travel Scrap Sleep Repeat. I try to post at least once a week, if not a couple times. So I will see you one of those 2 places. Thanks, friends.